Today, I want to talk about money, value, and meaning, and how these three things are not the same, although we can often make them the same, and how this leads us into difficulties on a personal level in our life, and perhaps some of the difficulties that we're having collectively. You may have a whole lot of political, spiritual, whatever kind of philosophical reflections about money, and they are really important, and I want to really acknowledge them. And they are part of this conversation, and I want to gently invite you to place them in the background of this conversation for a moment and invite you into a more personal and intimate conversation today about money. As many of us know, these two conversations are interrelated. My personal philosophy is that without this examination within our own beings of where we stand in relation to things, of having a positive and integrated and healthy, balanced stand in relation to things, if we as individuals bring a wobbly, unintegrated story of how we are in relationship to things to the collective, we just keep creating a collective that then impacts the individual negatively. So those of us that are on a conscious path and who are working to transform this little piece of it that we inhabit, I'm offering this invitation to take the lens back here for a moment so that we might transform the material we have here that we contribute to the collective. Part of the reason this doesn't happen in relation to money is that there is a lot of taboo around it. And again, every time we make a statement, there is so much complexity to the reasons why that might be the case. But I'm going to look at one little slice of that today, that one of the reasons is because it is uncomfortable. When there is avoidance, when we don't want to talk about something, usually it's because it's hard. A friend of mine said to me years ago, he said, "Have you noticed, Mira, that people would rather be overheard in the pub having a conversation about their dysfunctional love life than their difficulties with money?" Really interesting, the level of taboo that has grown up around this, because we all have very intense meanings around what money is, as well as the fact that we live in a now globalized, consumerist, capitalist culture that is really centered around money. And money for all of us equals access to resources. So that's one part of it. But where we get into a lot of stickiness is that we make it mean a lot more than that. We make it mean, am I valuable? Am I worthwhile? If I have more money, I must be of more value. And yet we know in our bones that our inherent value as a human has nothing to do with that. But this all gets very tangled up. It gets tangled up in family relationships around inheritance. It gets tangled up around our decisions about what we do with our life and what career path we might pursue based on whether we can earn money from it or not. It gets tangled up and held and stored in our bodies when we lose money or we lose access to the security that we associated. There are so many traumas that come into us because of money. Fights over money, fights over resources, loss of a home, loss of place. We all know this. On an individual level, where does this show up? Where can we start to access creating some more consciousness and creating some more shifts? The easiest way, in my opinion, and in the work that is biased towards somatic work because of what I've seen it do, is our sensations on a small basis, on a daily basis, in relation to money transactions. How do you feel when you think about money? How do you feel when you need to spend some money? How do you feel when you need to make a decision about money, when you need to have a conversation about money? This is showing up a lot right now because it's taxation time in Australia. So, what is one of the things that shows up a lot? Avoidance, procrastination. Why does avoidance show up? Because it's uncomfortable. When we need to face the realities of money or the discomfort of uncomfortable conversations and decisions, we're looking at potentially a backlog of meaning that creates this uncomfortable sensation in the body that's come from our past experiences. So, a lot of empathy to you and to myself that just going to do your taxes or just going to make a decision, should I buy that fridge or this other fridge, or should I give this money, or should I save this money, or should I make this investment, that this is not just a decision that happens up here. This is an experience that happens all the way through us. So what do we do about this? The way, as I was explaining, to begin bringing more awareness is to start to notice what happens in your body in these moments, to bring warmth and compassion to that experience of the feeling. Emotions are often what is going on in the body. Then there's a whole process which you may have tools or techniques for already to begin to unwind. What is the meaning that I'm making here? What is the story? What are the unprocessed emotions of stories and experiences that I had in the past? Maybe you lost a home, lost a whole lot of money. Maybe your family fell apart over money. That I need to resolve within my emotional being, my physiological trauma nervous system conglomeration being here, that can help me move forward more healthily, more lovingly, with more neutrality in how I relate to money here and now, and how I might contribute to the collective conversation about money, economics, how we participate in the world, and how we do that in a way that creates more aliveness and joy and reciprocity and connection, which ultimately is what we're all longing for underneath, and what we then think money might bring us. I hope that this reflection is helpful for you in any way, in some way. And if it is in any way, please feel free to share something, leave me a comment, have a chat. I am always fascinated to hear your perspectives, your experiences, and anything you might want to offer back to me. Wishing you warmth and resonance today. Thank you for your time and attention. If you've got all the way to the end, it's really appreciated.